Warriors come out to play. Warriors come out to play. Spurs, an incredible win tonight in San Francisco at the Chase Center. They defeat the Golden State Warriors 110-108. Let's listen in on Bill Schoening in postgame.
Numbers a while ago.
Here's Bill Schoening.
Let's take a look at some individual scoring. First of all, for the visitors from San Antonio, 25 points for Josh Richardson. Ultimate performance of the game tonight, brought to you by BMW of San Antonio. Richardson, 3 of 5 from three-point range, 8 of 12 from the field. He also was a perfect 6 of 6 from the free throw line. He was not the only bench player in double figures. Zach Collins chipped in 11 points and a couple of rebounds in 19 minutes. Trey Jones, since we're with bench players, he had 9 points off the bench and 2 for Joe Wieskamp. Jock Landale played 7 minutes, did not score. Among the starters, 19 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds for DeJounte Murray. Keldon Johnson, who came up with the game winner, had 14 points, 7 boards, and 5 assists. Jakob Poeltl only had 7 points this evening. He was 2 of 7 for the field, 3 of 6 from the line. He did have 14 rebounds tonight to go along with 2 assists and a block shot. And Keldon Johnson, as we mentioned, 14 points and 7 boards. Devin Vassell was only 3 of 12 for the field tonight. He had 12 points, but he did haul in 6 rebounds. For Golden State, they had 3 players in double figures, actually 4. 28 points for Jordan Poole to lead the way. 24 for Klay Thompson, who was just 9 of 22 from the field. He was 6 of 12 beyond the arc. And 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists for Aaron Wiggins, or for Andrew Wiggins. Draymond Green was ejected from this ball game in the third quarter. 4 points, 6 boards, and 5 assists for Draymond Green. Kevon Looney had 2 points, 3 boards, and 3 assists. Off the bench, we mentioned Otto Porter with 16 and 9 points each for Nemanja Bjelica and Jonathan Kuminga. Chris Chiozza played 19 minutes but did not score. It adds up to 110 for the Spurs, 108 for the Warriors. Next up for the Spurs, a Wednesday night game at Portland, and we'll be on the air at 8:30, Spurs Radio Game Night at 9 o'clock. And we'll take a break, and we'll have more. But right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification along the San Antonio Spurs Radio Network.
News Radio 1200 WOAI, San Antonio's breaking news, traffic, and weather.
So the Spurs right now 28-44, trailing both New Orleans and the LA Lakers, who are 30-41. We'll take a break right now. We'll be back with more. We're broadcasting remotely from San Antonio at the iHeart Studios. The game took place this evening at the Chase Center in San Francisco. A sellout crowd, by the way, was on hand here tonight. In fact, it was the 415th straight sellout crowd in San Francisco, 18,064. But most of those folks go home disappointed as the Spurs pull out the win 110-108 on a follow-up off a rebound and an offensive rebound and put back by Keldon Johnson off the miss by Jakob Poeltl. Final score, 110-108. Spurs over the Warriors, and we will have more. This is Spurs Radio.
That's Bill Schoening as he goes through postgame as the Spurs get a tremendous win tonight, one of their greatest wins of the season. You think about where they won it, how they won it, how they held on against a very good team. This is their second win at Golden State this season. They have won twice this year at the Chase Center in San Francisco, which is absolutely amazing. Spurs led much of this game. Spurs led at the end of the first quarter, 36-22. They led at halftime, 63-57. Spurs led near the end of they led by 10 with 5:34 to go in the third quarter, but then Golden State went on a 13-2 run to close out the quarter. Golden State led at the end of 3 quarters by 1, 84-83. And then the Spurs grabbed the lead in the fourth, led through much of the fourth, then let that lead get away late in the fourth quarter, but found a way back in it. Keldon Johnson on a rebound from a missed Jakob Poeltl free throw. And he with the putback, gave the Spurs the 110-108 lead with 0.3 of a second left to play, and Golden State unable to win it in the final 0.3 of a second. Here's Bill.
108 The Spurs with the victory over the Golden State Warriors before that sellout crowd of over 18,000 tonight in San Francisco. The 21-22 Spurs season is presented by HEB, where here everything is better. Whataburger What's Next? Wednesday at Portland. That'll be a 9 o'clock start, and we'll be on the air at 8:30 with Spurs Radio Game Night. That game on CW35. And then the two games after that will be on Bally Sports. That's Saturday at New Orleans and Monday at Houston. Again, tonight was the first game of a 4-game road trip. So Wednesday, Saturday, Monday, the next 3 games on the road trip. At New Orleans on Saturday, that game will be a 4 o'clock in the afternoon start, so we'll be on the air at 3:30 on Saturday afternoon. That game televised by Bally Sports, and Monday's game at Houston also a Bally Sports game. That game will tip at 7 o'clock from the Toyota Center. Again, the Spurs with the victory tonight over the Golden State Warriors. The final score 110-108 as the Spurs outscore them 22-14 in points off turnovers. And the Spurs, even though they shot only 39% from the floor, were able to come up with a huge play late in the game as Jakob Poeltl missed his second free throw after he tied the game with his first free throw in the waning seconds of the game with just 3 seconds to go. It was Keldon Johnson who grabbed the offensive rebound and got the putback 0.3 of a second left after the putback went through. A desperation shot from the corner by Klay Thompson was off the mark, and the Spurs come out of San Francisco with the victory. 110-108 the final score. Spurs over the Warriors, and Spurs Radio continues in a moment.
This is what's happening.
That's Bill Schoening. I got to check with am I next?
Yeah, you're next.
Okay.
We never got a call from Coach, so if he calls while you're going,
Yeah, tell me in my ear. If he calls when we're going, tell me in my ear.
Okay, I will.
Because the way it's set up in here, when I look at scores, you're way up high. So I'm not seeing you unless I look way up high. So
okay, yeah. Bill said he's here. So if he happens to call while you're going, I'll tell you. I'll say we got him or something.
Yeah. Make sure you tell me in my ear.
Will do.
Okay.
On the Chick-fil-A app today. Delivery fee and other restrictions apply. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
All right.
When you run a small business, every part of it is a big deal.
Talking to Jeremy Kolak there, who is also my soundscape stylist. We will. Hey, Brian Birdie.
You want to highlight?
If it's easy, if it's too late, no. If you got one, give it to me. And if you got the game winner, that's the best one. But if you can't, don't worry.
And with a variety of Blue Cross health insurance options.
And use that one coming into React as well.
It's just your size.
Will do.
Keep your employees healthy and your bottom line even healthier. You may be
And remember where it is for tomorrow's show.
Will do.
So go ahead. Give them a bonus on day one. Give your employees the quality healthcare coverage they deserve.
Well, look at what Brian Birdie is saying.
And keep your small business
The
stronger.
Pelicans jumped the Lakers, so the Spurs
Okay, I got it.
now.
You want me to do it here?
Absolutely, yeah.
Got it.
Here we go.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas.
Going to get the game-winning highlight right here. Listen closely, and you'll hear it. Here's Keldon Johnson with the game winner as we come back. Level low.
Austria on the way. No, off the back of the rim. Rebound. Johnson follow good. Keldon Johnson with the offensive rebound and a putback with 0.3 of a second left. The Spurs take a 2-point lead. It is 110-108. Keldon Johnson with a huge play. Timeout Steve Kerr. Only 0.3 of a second left.
Keldon Johnson with what would be the game winner with the rebound and the putback on a Jakob Poeltl missed free throw with 0.3 of a second left. Bill Schoening with the call, and the San Antonio Spurs win for the second time this season at the Chase Center in San Francisco as they beat the Golden State Warriors 110-108. Programming note on the flagship station, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI, and streaming live video on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. Our Spurs React is coming up. We will update you on scores from around the league, 8 other scores in the NBA tonight. Everything has gone final Pacers over the Trailblazers, 129-98. Don't forget, Trailblazers will be the Spurs' next opponent on the road Wednesday night. Grizzlies over the Rockets, 122-98. It was the Pelicans beating the Hawks, 117-112. So the Spurs remain 2.5 games behind the Pelicans, but they're also now 2.5 games behind the Los Angeles Lakers. So the Spurs have 2 opportunities to jump into a play-in situation if they can catch either the Pelicans or the Lakers in these final 10 games of the regular season. It was the Magic over the Thunder, 90-85. In overtime, the Phoenix Suns defeated the Sacramento Kings, 127-124. Jazz beat the Knicks, 108-93. Celtics over the Nuggets, 124-104. And the Toronto Raptors beat the Philadelphia 76ers, 93-88. More coming up. Spurs React coming at you on the flagship station, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI, after a quick wrap-up from Bill Schoening as he broadcasts from the iHeart Radio headquarters in San Antonio remotely. Spurs Radio continues in a moment.
If you love HEB, but don't always have the time.
Yeah, I was looking up at, we're still waiting on the coach for Bill, but it looks like that's not going to happen. That's why I had to keep looking up at Jeremy. Luisa Alanis, welcome in. Welcome, Beth Settle. Ofa Lin joins us from Singapore. Taro Kotani, the greatest international Spurs fan, joins us from Tokyo. Peter Virial, what is up? Sandra Perez, welcome. Sandra says Manu was there. That's so cool. Manu was at the game in San Antonio the other night. So Manu made the trip. That's great.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah.
Rubiana Haney,
the big cat repellent he
welcome in.
Reliable. And now Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run.
Yeah, that was a tremendous win for the Spurs. And on a night that New Orleans won on the road, New Orleans beat the Atlanta Hawks on the road. Spurs would have fallen 3.5 back to the New Orleans Pelicans had they lost. There's Bill.
Leah Resendez handles commercial traffic along with Liz Canonas. Our broadcast engineer, Sam Walters. Our statistician, Walter Stoops. Next game for the Spurs, Wednesday night at Portland, 9 o'clock tip. We'll be on the air at 8:30 with Spurs Radio Game Night. As always, for all things Spurs, follow us on Twitter, Spurs.com with the Spurs app. Our producer this evening, Jeremy Kolak, and our studio host was Chris Duel. This is Bill Schoening. Thank you for joining us this evening. Again, the final score, the Spurs over the Warriors, 110-108. This has been a presentation of Spurs Sports and Entertainment and the National Basketball Association. All rights reserved. Good night, everybody.
Spurs Radio Game Night Rewind has been brought to you by...
All right, that was Bill. Now we'll blow into React. Elizabeth Jones, welcome in. Nicholas, welcome. Peter Virial, welcome.
Stay on top of your game, your job.
Frank Ramirez, welcome in.
And homework. And after all you've been through lately, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas is here to help.
Frank, did I see OCCA? Is that Orange County, California?
Stop cancer from spreading. Stop the increased cases of diabetes. Put a stop to hypertension and mental illness in our communities and get our children vaccinated to stop the spread of other diseases. Blue Cross wants to cover you in care so you can take back the overall health of you and your loved ones. From preventive cancer screenings to proper control of diabetes, high blood pressure, and behavioral health management to prenatal care and child immunizations. Blue Cross and Blue Shield is by your side, reminding you now more than ever. Preventive care is imperative care. Find out all the ways you can stay on top of your health at bcbstx.com. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas. Through it all. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
This is Game Night React on the home of the Spurs, Spurs Radio 1200.
No highlight because I'm recording Bill.
Okay. Yes, Yes. That was absolutely beautiful. What a great Spurs win tonight in hostile territory on the road in San Francisco against the Golden State Warriors as they come from behind in the final seconds and beat the Golden State Warriors 110-108. This is Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. I'm Chris Duel, and I am ecstatic as this was a game the Spurs really needed to win tonight. Earlier tonight, when I saw that the New Orleans Pelicans, whom the Spurs are chasing now along with the Los Angeles Lakers, the Pelicans and the Lakers in a virtual tie, Pelicans percentage points ahead of the Lakers, but the Spurs fell 3 games in the middle of the game tonight, fell 3 games behind the New Orleans Pelicans. Had the Spurs lost tonight, they would be 3.5 games behind the Pelicans and the Lakers with only 9 games to play. So 10 games to play. Check that, 10 games to play. So you don't want to do that. The Spurs found a way to come back and win tonight, and they did, 110-108. So as we speak, the Spurs are now 2.5 games behind the Lakers and the Pelicans. And as I look at the standings, they do have an identical record, the Pelicans and the Lakers. So the Pelicans win that tiebreaker. So it is not a percentage points deal. Both the Pelicans and the Lakers are 30-41. And the Spurs are 28-44, which puts them 2.5 games behind the Lakers and the Pelicans. So what's nice about that, they've got a head-to-head game next Saturday night at New Orleans. So the Spurs with 2 opportunities to catch either one of those teams now in these final games of the regular season. As the Spurs, as we've talked about, have 1 game left against the Pelicans, 3 games left against the Portland Trail Blazers. Blazers now 1 game behind the Spurs in the number 12 slot. Spurs currently in the 11 slot. But the focus tonight is on this magnificent game for the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs led much of the evening and fell behind in that fourth quarter. They actually, Spurs led this game by 10 with 5:34 to go in the third quarter. Golden State went on a 13-2 run from there on to take the lead at the end of 3 quarters, 84-83. In fact, the Warriors held the Spurs scoreless for the final 4 minutes and 15 seconds of that third quarter. And that lead that the Warriors took at the very end of the third quarter, 84-83, that was the Warriors' first lead of the night. Now, throughout much of the fourth quarter, Spurs would regain that lead, and the Spurs would lead until the final moments. The Golden State Warriors would take a lead over the Spurs, 105-104 with 150 to play. And then things got very tense and intense down the stretch. But ultimately, it was Keldon Johnson with what turned out to be the game winner. Jakob Poeltl was at the line with 2 shots, and the Spurs down by 1. Jakob Poeltl hit his first free throw. Jakob's about a 49% free throw shooter. So we're glad we got a free throw out of Jakob there. But he missed his second free throw. It was rebounded by Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson with the putback. That gave the Spurs the 110-108 lead with 0.3 seconds remaining. 0.3 of a second were remaining. So Golden State, with that last opportunity, unable to score. And that was your final score tonight, 110-108. Spurs get a much needed win in dramatic fashion at the Chase Center in San Francisco, 110-108. Looking at some numbers for the Spurs, Josh Richardson doing his George Gervin impression pretty much tonight. Josh Richardson off the bench led all scorers with 25 points in 27 minutes. He was 8 of 12 from the field, 3 of 5 from the 3-point line, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Josh Richardson also got a couple of rebounds. He got an assist. He had a steal. He was absolutely amazing. DeJounte Murray, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. stellar night for DeJounte Murray as well. DeJounte missing some key shots down the stretch. From the field, DeJounte only 8 of 24. So obviously he would have liked to have shot better for the 24 shots he took. But the Spurs found a way to do it, and that's what you got to do. You got to win when you can find a way to win, and that's what the Spurs did tonight. So the San Antonio Spurs will continue to take this show on the road. That'll be Wednesday night at Portland. Remember, Blazers lost tonight, and the Blazers now a game behind the Spurs in the Western Conference standings. Spurs in that number 11 slot, 2.5 games behind the Pelicans and the Lakers, and the Blazers are in the number 12 slot, 1 game behind the Spurs. And the Spurs will face the Portland Trail Blazers 3 times between now and April 10th when this regular season comes to an end. So the Spurs really do control their own destiny against the Portland Trail Blazers, and they are now closing in on the New Orleans Pelicans and the Los Angeles Lakers. Programming note, if you want to hear more Bill Schoening tomorrow morning, he is going to be on my show, the Chris Duel Show, on Ticket 760 in San Antonio and AM 1300 The Zone in Austin tomorrow morning at 8:05 in the morning. A little bit of a coup that we've got going on the show tomorrow, because that is the day that Bill Schoening's book is going to be published. It will drop on Amazon and wherever you buy your books. His new book, Stories, Sports, and Songs, Tales and Tunes by a Play-by-Play Lifer. I've pre-ordered my Kindle, so it should appear on my Kindle tomorrow morning. But we'll talk with Bill, obviously, about this game and about just the exciting finish tonight against the Golden State Warriors. But we'll also speak with Bill Schoening, 8:05 tomorrow morning on Ticket 760 out of San Antonio, AM 1300 The Zone out of Austin, about his brand new book, which drops shortly after midnight tonight, I would expect. Stories, Sports, and Songs, Tales and Tunes by a Play-by-Play Lifer. If you're a Spurs fan, I highly recommend you pick up that book. I have gotten an advance copy, and it is outstanding. Can't recommend it highly enough. So Bill Schoening on the show tomorrow morning at 8:05. We want to thank Bill Schoening for his broadcast tonight. As always, a magnificent job. Of course, veteran statistician Walter Stoops, on-site engineer Sam Walters was assisting him throughout the night, and the hardest working man in radio, Jeremy Kolak, who has to be awake with me on my show tomorrow morning, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy Kolak, the pride of Oklahoma State University. He made the show go from beginning to end. In for Mike Bartlett. Jeremy will be with me and Shannon Salty Sweeney and Bill Schoening tomorrow morning as we talk Spurs and a whole lot more. Once again, the final score from the Chase Center in San Francisco, the San Antonio Spurs beat the Golden State Warriors 110-108. This has been Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI.